The first time I realized my guitar teacher wasn't just teaching me chords was when I forgot how to breathe. And no, it wasn't because of the music, it was because of the way his hand lingered on mine. The weight of his hazel eyes burning into me like they knew too much. It was supposed to be simple. Tuesday and Thursday evenings, 1 hour each, $20 on the table, and I'd learn how to strum something that didn't make dogs howl. But the truth? The guitar was only an excuse. I didn't want to admit it to myself back then. But from the moment I saw him, Ryan, 24, tall with that quiet confidence of someone who had already lived more than his share of heartbreak, I knew I wanted more than music. And yet, he never crossed a line. Not once. He'd smile faintly, adjust my fingers on the strings, and then pull back like he hadn't just set my entire chest on fire. It was maddening. "Relax your grip," he'd murmur, his voice low, husky from too many late-night cigarettes. "The strings won't bite." But it wasn't the strings I was afraid of, it was him. It was the way my pulse betrayed me every time he leaned closer, the way my thoughts spiraled when his shoulder brushed mine. I was 19, naive, a freshman trying to survive my first year in college in Ohio, and he was everything I wasn't. Calm where I was restless, grounded where I was reckless, and maybe that was why it felt impossible to look away. That night, after another lesson where he sat so close I could feel the heat of his arm, I blurted out something reckless. "Do you ever get tired of pretending you don't feel it?" He froze. The silence stretched so long I swore I could hear the clock ticking from across the room. Ryan set the guitar down carefully, too carefully, and looked at me with eyes that didn't match the neutral tone in his voice. "Feel what?" I laughed, bitter and small. "Forget it. I'm just a kid, right?" And maybe I was. But that didn't mean the ache in my chest was any less real. The truth was, Ryan carried shadows I couldn't touch. I'd catch glimpses of them when he thought I wasn't looking. The way he'd stare at the ceiling too long after a chord slipped, or the way his lips pressed tight when I joked about love songs. He never talked about his past, and I never asked. Maybe because I was afraid of the answer. But that night, after my stupid outburst, he didn't push me away. He didn't laugh. Instead, he leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees, and whispered so softly I almost missed it. "You don't know what you're asking for, Alex." My name on his lips, God. It did things to me I didn't want to admit. "Then show me," I said, heart hammering so loudly I was sure he heard it. Ryan turned to me, and for the first time he didn't look away. His hazel eyes locked onto mine, raw and unguarded, like a storm barely held together. "You think love is just about sparks and stolen glances," he said. "But it's heavier than that. It can drown you if you're not careful." I swallowed hard, trying to steady my voice. "Then drown me." The silence that followed was thick, suffocating, but not empty. It was charged, alive, trembling with everything neither of us dared to say out loud. His hand twitched like he wanted to reach for me, but instead, he stood up abruptly, pacing across the room. "Christ, Alex," he muttered, running a hand through his hair. "You're 19, and you're 24, not 50. I shot back. "Stop acting like I'm some fragile kid." He stopped, his back to me, shoulders tense. For a long moment, I thought he'd tell me to leave, that I'd ruined everything with my impatience, my reckless mouth. But then, in the softest voice, he said, "You don't know how much I want to believe you." The confession hung in the air, fragile and dangerous. And I realized the knit wasn't that he didn't feel it. He was terrified because he did. That night I couldn't sleep. Every sound, the hum of traffic outside, the faint rustle of wind through the cracked window reminded me of him. The way his gaze lingered just a little too long, the way his voice softened when he said my name. And maybe I should have walked away. Maybe I should have found a safer way to spend my nights than chasing a man haunted by ghosts I didn't understand. But love doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait until you're ready. It crashes into you like a wave, leaving you gasping, desperate, alive. The next lesson, I showed up late on purpose, hoping he'd ask why, hoping he'd care. He didn't. He just opened the door, guitar in hand, eyes carefully neutral. But the air between us, God, it was thick enough to choke on. I sat on the couch, fumbled with the strings, and finally snapped. "Are we really going to keep pretending this is just about music?" Ryan stared at me for a long, heavy moment. Then, with a slow, deliberate motion, he set the guitar down between us. His fingers brushed mine, just a ghost of a touch, but it was enough to make my pulse race. "You don't know what you're asking," he repeated. "Then let me find out," I whispered. And this time he didn't pull away. Ryan's hand lingered, and for the first time he didn't take it back. His thumb brushed over my knuckles as if he were testing fate itself. Testing me, testing us. My breath caught, and the guitar between us became nothing more than a thin excuse to stay close. "Alex," he whispered, my name breaking like a secret. "You don't know how dangerous this could be." But I leaned in, reckless, young, and completely undone by him. Then let it be dangerous. Our lips didn't meet that night. They hovered, trembling with everything unsaid, before he pulled away again. This time with a look so pained I almost regretted pushing. Almost. The following weeks were torture. He taught me songs but avoided my eyes, corrected my posture but never touched my hands again. I hated it. I hated the distance more than I hated the silence, because it screamed louder than words ever could. Until one night the storm finally broke. I had come by without warning, rain soaking through my hoodie, adrenaline pushing me past every ounce of doubt. I knocked, once, twice, heart pounding. When Ryan opened the door, he looked exhausted, like the world had taken every ounce of light from him. But when he saw me, something flickered, something he couldn't hide fast enough. "What the hell are you doing out here?" he muttered, pulling me inside, thrusting a towel into my hands. I dropped it, defiant. "You can't keep pushing me away." His jaw tightened. "Alex, no. You don't get to do this anymore." I cut in, voice trembling but firm. "You look at me like I'm the only thing you want. Then you act like I'm a kid who doesn't understand. Stop protecting me. I don't need protecting. I need you." The words echoed, sharp and raw, and for a moment, all I could hear was the rain pounding against the windows. Ryan's face twisted, equal parts anguish and longing, before he broke. He grabbed my face in his hands and kissed me, hard, desperate, like a man who had been drowning and finally let himself breathe. My world tilted. His lips were fire and salt, his hands shaking against my skin, and I knew this was everything I'd been waiting for. When we pulled apart, he pressed his forehead to mine, eyes shut tight. "God help me, Alex. You're going to ruin me." "Or save you," I whispered back. Loving him wasn't easy. It wasn't stolen kisses and perfect melodies. It was messy, complicated, a constant tug-of-war between his fear and my persistence. There were nights he pulled away, locking himself behind silence, and mornings he held me like he was afraid I'd vanish. He told me pieces of his past, slowly, like each word cost him something. A boy he once loved, who couldn't bear the weight of judgment. Parents who had closed their doors on him when he came out. A heart patched together too many times. I listened, I held him, and I swore I wouldn't be another crack in his already fragile armor. But still, there were moments he faltered. Like the night he saw me talking to another guy outside campus, jealousy flashing before he masked it with anger. "You don't know what you're playing with," he snapped. I shot back. "Neither do you." We burned, but we didn't break. Because every fight ended with him pulling me close, whispering apologies into my hair, begging me not to give up on him. And I never did. Months passed. My fingers grew calloused, not just from guitar strings but from holding on to him, refusing to let him slip away. The music became ours, every chord a conversation, every song a confession. The night of the college showcase, he sat in the audience, hidden in the back row, eyes locked on me. My hands trembled as I played the song we had built together, a melody stitched from late-night lessons, stolen glances, and the kind of love that refuses to stay quiet. When the final note faded, the room erupted in applause, but all I saw was him, standing, clapping, smiling, not the guarded smile he wore like armor, but one that was open, unashamed, filled with pride. Afterward, outside in the cool night air, he found me. He didn't care about the students milling around, didn't care about the whispers. He pulled me in, kissed me like the world was finally done keeping us apart. "I'm done hiding," he said against my lips. "If I lose everything else, I'll still have you. That's enough." And for the first time, I believed him. Years later, the guitar still sits in our living room, worn and familiar, strings replaced more times than I can count. Sometimes I catch him watching me play, eyes soft, heart in his gaze, and I remember that first night when I asked if he ever got tired of pretending. He doesn't pretend anymore. Neither do I, because real love isn't about safety or certainty. It's about choosing each other again and again, even when the world says you shouldn't. And Ryan chooses me. Every beat, every chord, every moment, always. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.